What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. And as I'm sure that you've probably seen within the last week or so, that clips have been emerging of Zakk Wylde essentially replacing late lead guitarist Dimebag Darrell in the groove metal band Pantera. I don't know why they always use that word groove metal whenever describing Pantera, and it seems like only Pantera. They are groove oriented, but I mean, it seems like that's a genre reserved only for them. Again, I digress. But I just wanted to chime in. Pantera, legendary 90s heavy group. They kind of had a sound all their own, very hardcore, very in your face in a way that that didn't have a lot of frills, didn't have a lot of the kind of the gimmickry of other bands at that time during the alternative rock movement. In videos I've made before, there are these huge pools of alternative rock that just embodied everything from bands like Primus to groups like Cake or The Offspring. They were all kind of thrown under this alternative rock umbrella, and they all kind of had their own little shticks to them. But Pantera was they presented themselves as country musicians in the sense that there was no pretentiousness to how they were and who they were, and there was no there wasn't the self-flagellation of artists from Seattle, like the grunge guys, who, though they dressed casual, they were very depressed and down on themselves. And Pantera kind of fused that party excessiveness of the 80s, but combined it with the dark sensibilities of 90s alternative rock. So anyway, getting back to my main point here, like I said, the videos have been leaking online about Zakk Wylde playing guitar in Dimebag's stead, and also Chris Bonante, former drummer, or maybe might be current drummer of Anthrax, filling in on drums. And I just think this is a perfect match that they came up with. I think that they could not have come up with a better person to fill the shoes of Dimebag Darrell and Zakk Wylde. The two were best friends. I mean, they were very close. Anybody who knows anything about the Pantera or Zakk Wylde or any of them, they know that those two guys are really close with each other. And Zakk Wylde did a song to memorialize Dimebag. It was a little cheesy, I'm not gonna lie, but it was, came from a great place, and it was great. So there was that, so that makes sense. And then reason number two, Zakk Wylde ain't no slouch. He's had Black Label Society. He's been Ozzy Osbourne's lead guitarist for a long time, and so I think he fits good in that aspect as well. I think the only real issue that you could bring up if you're a fan is playing styles. Now, I would say Zakk Wylde is more of a metal, just pure shredder, kind of plays fast, plays a lot of notes. He definitely does have some good technique. I've heard he's got some good vibrato and all that, but he's not the innovator that Dimebag was. Now, if you want to go through the pantheon of underrated, innovative guitar players, well, first in my book is Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. But Dimebag's up there. The use of his whammy pedal in songs like Cemetery Gates or the riffs themselves. They could go from simplistic, walk, did it, all the way to more complex riffs like the aforementioned Cemetery Gates, when the heavy part comes in. It's how the hell? I know there's some kind of pinched harmonic thing going on in there, but that sounds like a really complicated riff. It's probably not, but it sounded cool. So basically, I guess the point that I'm making is that I think it's great that Zakk Wylde is filling in for Dime. As long as they want to keep touring, I think that's super cool. But I definitely think I would draw the line when it came to studio recordings. I definitely think that that would be inappropriate, because Dimebag was such a songwriting, guitar riff genius innovator that Zack's got his own band for that stuff. I don't think a new Pantera record needs to come out with Zakk writing the guitar riffs. And I highly doubt Rex Brown ever came up with anything. I could be wrong in that. I'm not the biggest Pantera fan in the world. I'm just a fan of Pantera, not the biggest. Okay, so don't quote me on that. And yeah, from the clips that I've seen so far, Phil Anselmo still sounds pretty good for as much drugs as that guy's done in his life, and as much surgeries that he's had to have for his back and this, that, and the other. I mean, the dude still's got the gruff, the tone, and I didn't particularly hear any of the screamy bits. I mean, he hasn't been able to hit the end of Cemetery Gates even back in the 90s. I mean, that was something he did in the studio, and that was it from there. But yeah, and then you got Charlie Benante, as I said, filling in for Vinnie Paul, the drummer, and Vinnie Paul was a very solid drummer, but I think the reason why Dime is the one that's always brought up more so is because though Vinnie was a great like metal groove drummer, I don't know how innovative he was in the drum world compared to how innovative Dimebag was in the guitar world. And he did have some innovative grooves for sure, like Psycho Holiday, that comes to mind. But Dimebag, the dude just came on the scene and inspired a whole new age of bands. I remember seeing an Avenged Sevenfold interview, and they were talking about how when they were kids and they saw Dimebag on TV, that's when they knew they wanted to play guitar. So I mean, he's kind of a legend, so kind of got to give him his due. But band dynamics are weird, right? Like, you have a band where the guitar player and the drummer die, but the singer is still alive. And now, most times, if your singer dies or retires, then that's it. I mean, yes, I've done videos about singers who are irreplaceable, and then bands that do replace their singers, and yada yada yada. But yeah, that's usually the case. But it's rare that a guitar player dies and then the band stops. But there's so much drama behind that whole situation that I will not stretch this video out to go through all that. But I then go on to stretch the video out and go through all of that. Okay, I'll go over it really quickly. So after Pantera's last record, the Abbott brothers, Vinnie and Dimebag, were pretty much waiting in limbo for Phil Anselmo, the lead singer, to come back to the band so they could do their next Pantera record. Well, Phil went off and did his band Down, and then he did Super Joint Ritual, and he was just off doing all these side projects, and Vinnie and Dime are like, bro, what the fuck? When's the next Pantera record coming out? And so they got tired of waiting, and they did various projects like the cringely titled Hell Yeah, and then ultimately Damage Plan. And during the Damage Plan show at some bar, Dimebag was shot by a psychotic patron there who thought that Damage Plan was stealing his thoughts or some crazy schizophrenic shit. And everyone basically, not everyone, but a lot of people blamed Phil Anselmo for that, because if Phil had gotten back together with Pantera and not dicked off in all those side projects, then Dime would have never been in that bar and he would have never gotten shot. So a lot of people were big haters of Phil Anselmo for being a selfish douche. You can't blame Phil for that. It was kind of shitty that he was just stringing them along for as long as he was, yes, but that's not his fault that Dime was... Anyway, so that's why when Dime passed away, there was a big, taboo thing around ever reuniting Pantera or playing their songs live ever again. But, then Vinnie passed away in 2018, and then now we're in a situation to where it's all the parties that really cared the most are gone. I believe their father passed away somewhere around that time too. Dimebag's girlfriend is still alive. She's come out and said that she totally supports this reunion tour or a tribute tour or tribute band. She didn't call it a tribute band, but a tribute tour. And she kind of echoed the same sentiments, if I could fucking talk, as I did, that it's cool if they want to do this tour as long as they want to do it, but studio album, absolutely not. It'd be totally disrespectful. So, what are your thoughts? I've already heard some haters out there taking a shit on this whole thing, and it's just dude, just shut up. Life's too short. I mean, Pantera is one of the legends of the 90s. you gotta just suck it up. You know, I've had to do it with a lot of bands that I like. I mean, God knows the amount of iterations of Smashing Pumpkins have been through. I mean, Genesis, they switch singers. You just gotta get used to it. You know, not every band can be Rush and be the same three guys for 40 years. You know, so life happens. But anyway, leave your thoughts on this whole thing in the comments section below. Hopefully, they release some kind of better quality official live footage so more people can hear what what Pantera sounds like in 2022, 2023. Until next time, have a good rest of your night.